presidential accountability focused on the appointments issue. Presidents lack the resources to hold themselves accountable. They can act unilaterally and make decisions that do not affect the electorate. Presidential appointments are nominated commonly under two-party camps. These issues lie in the fact that the president has a vague job description laid out in the Constitution. This makes it very easy to make decisions that the president may not be qualified to make, with limited ways to hold themselves accountable. This view of appointments power issue calls into question whether these powers are evasion methods. If this is true, presidents would be tempted to invade for personal gain and ultimately act unilaterally. As mentioned, the presidential appointments are commonly identified under two groups. The ideological lens views ideology cohesive to the image as a priority of the president when making appointments. If the appointee is ideologically aligned with the president, that means any legislation pursued will only be of that ideology. Party camp will believe that the president will sometimes act strategically with the majority with the appointment process, whether or not they are part of that party. Both lead to partisan gridlock and an inaccurate representation of the public electorate.
The policy solutions. Oh wait, can we? Okay. There's policy alternatives with the public service motivation. It's an alternative to the ideology camp. PSM is a core belief for an executive to decide an appointee based on individuals' desire to serve public interest. Higher PSM ratings could boost the prioritization of the engagement of citizens for the president, making a system that not only elects appointees with high PSM ensures better work performance, increasing trust in government as well as legitimacy, and decrease clouded judgment on appointments. There's also controlling the budget. This is an alternative from the party camp that allows supervision over appointment decisions that may generate a response from Congress, who controls agencies' budgets. It uses the power of the legislative branch to effectively limit the executive power. While the budget is set every year, Congress holds the power to alter the number of financial resources given to any federal institution within this year's period. If Congress did not agree with the actions of an appointee, the members of Congress have the power to alter an institution's budget, hindering the influence of any appointee.
There's also perpetual status of Senate. Senate has the power to confirm nominations, and if Senate stays in session, then the president is blocked from having any recess appointments. Senate remaining in session effectively blocks recess appointments as an abuse of power, but also leaves room for other negatives to emerge within the issue. And finally, there's congressional nominee qualifications. Congress implements set qualifications that nominees for appointments must follow, including knowledge, history, experience, and more. Congressional nominee qualifications is a small step towards a necessary solution, but ultimately this would help solve the appointment issue.
So now we're going to go ahead and move into policy solutions, and we're going to be focusing on public service motivation. This includes electing a nominee for presidential appointment that has a high PSM, ensures better representation of the electorate. The government needs to create a system to rank nominees based on PSM score. This would allow to get rid of the problem of nominating appointees purely based on ideology or party by allowing PSM to be the focal point when choosing an appointee. An increase in public service motivation is a solution that would accurately address the multidimensionality of the appointment overreach issue. First, electing a president with high public service motivation would require them to ideologically appoint nominees who share this trait instead of those who potentially hold controversial ideological values. Those who have a firm dedication to public service will put narrow party strategy on the back burner to improve society for all citizens. Public service motivation will hold the president accountable to this value and the people providing the most direct appointment problem solution. And finally, why this matters. Appointments allow the president the capability of placing an individual into a government position based on their unique motives. Appointments give the president all the power to appoint any person to a position that has power over institutions. Presidential appointments affect the daily lives of many Americans. Many federal institutions are run by individuals that the president appoints, who then controls the areas each agency promotes. This in turn affects every American and their daily lives. The president should reflect on their duty to serve the people when choosing appointees to be effective in the position. The president needs to be able to reflect on public opinion and recognize the role that appointees play for every constituent. The president should be able to find an individual who best suits the position, not only for their goals, but for the benefit of the citizens of the United States.
After all that was presented, do presidents hold too much power?
The presidential power problem is a problem that is rooted in the lack of a basic job description. The undefined power boundaries of the president lead to powerful executive decisions that are sometimes considered to be outside of the reach of power. No outside oversight on these decisions permits the presidents to act on their own motives to see the passage of their legislative agenda.
While you focus on presidential appointments specifically, to clarify, what is the general problem with presidential appointments?
Presidents have the capability to appoint any individual based on their unique motives, even to the point of overreach. Similar to the lack of job description, there are no strict criteria for appointment nominees. Because of this, we explain presidents are likely to nominate appointees for ideological or party gains.
After talking a lot about how this issue impacts citizens, what actions can citizens take to help address and solve the presidential appointment problem?
At an individual level, citizens can vote for presidential candidates with high public service motivation, who will in turn appoint nominees with high public service motivation. While public service motivation could sometimes be performative and disingenuous to get votes, if this turns out to be the case, public service motivation can be voted in during the next election. Continuing to promote candidates with high public service motivation will help bring resolution.